No, he's 58.
And you're like 6'4", 250.
6'6".
Bro, I'm
Don't
6'6".
cheat. Don't cheat me. I'm 6'6", 250, bro.
That's
Like, that's
crazy.
both of us. 6'4". He took 2 inches from me, bro.
He got played right there. You just got played.
Yeah, I mean, like, what have I taught you,
Ain't
man?
no
Like,
one took anything.
Hey,
I gave you
why-
like
why-
I gave you like 8 inches.
What are you talking
That's
about?
crazy.
Come on, man. I appreciate the respect, though. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, man, like, but nah, like, be yourself, man. Have fun, enjoy it. You know what I mean? This is just a complete conversation, man.
Gotcha.
It ain't nothing crazy, all right? So we about to get live with this. You
We're
understand
already
me?
live.
We already live, as we always do.
You
Tyler
know how I
always
do
do
it.
that, man.
You know how I do it.
You know? Hey, you ready?
Yes,
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Athletes Vision. Well, this platform is used to help guide the untold stories of athletes chasing their dreams in the world of sports. I am Mike Nunley. Our guest today is...
I'm Gavin Brown.
And my name is Tyler Benson. And each episode we're going to be going through and just diving into an athlete's story. But before we begin that, just want to, again, quickly shout out like we do every single episode.
Every episode.
Every single episode comes out Monday mornings at 8 a.m.
8 a.m.
So be there be square. Make sure if you're watching on YouTube that you subscribe and you like and you hit that little bell. Helps us out immensely.
Yes,
if you're
sir.
listening on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, if there's a rating system, rate us. That's all that matters. But, without further ado, what's going on, man?
How y'all doing?
I can't complain. Not too bad.
No complaints
It's
at
a
all.
Friday,
over here.
so,
It's
you know what I'm
definitely a
saying?
Friday, man.
It's not too bad at all.
We're just trying to enjoy life right now, man. So as we do with every, athlete that comes on our show, we want them to be able to be comfortable, but also, guide us into their story, right? Into your journey. So just give us a little background, man, about who you are, man.
So I started playing like every sport I could get my hands on, except football because my mom didn't want me to get hurt. So I was playing basketball, track, lacrosse, soccer.
Okay.
When I was young, and then I dropped track when I got into middle school, and then I played soccer for the middle school team, and then I played travel soccer for like my entire life, and then when high school came around, I ended up dropping soccer to focus on basketball and lacrosse.
Okay.
And then I played rec basketball, AAU basketball, travel lacrosse, rec lacrosse, and I was just doing like everything I could get my hands on to play sports. And I had some good teams, some bad teams. And then high school came, quit soccer completely, rec, travel, everything, school. And I was playing for the high school basketball team. I was on the JV team for 2 years, rode the bench the first year, played the entire season the second year, and then started varsity my junior year, and then started varsity my senior year, and then played AAU my sophomore and junior year, and then I dropped AAU to focus all on lacrosse my senior year, and I played travel lacrosse from the end of my sophomore year till now. And I was playing for the high school as well, and I made varsity as a freshman.
Okay.
And then I played – we didn't get a season because of COVID freshman year, but then we had sophomore, junior, and senior year on varsity. And every season we were above 500, and then last year we were 14-2. This year 11-3, going to regionals both years. And then I ended up committing to Bridgewater College for lacrosse.
You see the shirt. You see the
You know what I'm
you
saying?
see the
Always
shirt.
drop in,
You
always
see
drop
the
in.
shirt, man.
Yeah,
But before
yeah.
you even go any deeper into that, we always like to dive back. You said you tapped in and played a lot of sports growing up, right? So let's go back to your youth, right? I want you to let's tap into, that love that you had, because right now it seems like you had a lot of love for soccer, right?
I
right.
did. That was my main sport, honestly.
So tap into that. So as a youth, knowing that you wanted to be, we call it like, multi-talented in a lot of sports, right?
Yeah.
Like tap into that. Like give us the Gavin Brown, of youth sports. You know what I mean? Give us him for a little bit.
So soccer, I didn't always lacrosse was never my main sport.
I got you.
Until midway through junior year of high school. And I started off playing soccer. I hit my growth spurt really early. Like, I'm young for my age too. I'm not even 18 yet, and I'm about to start college.
Jeez.
And my parents had to start me in school early because I was bigger than all the other kids, and they didn't want me to get picked on or anything like that for being the big friendly giant out there. So it helped a lot when I was playing soccer because I was a center back. So I was just bodying,
blowing people up.
I was just hitting shouldering it, and I could. We were on the small field at the time, the 7-on-7s. So I could just kick it the length of the field. So that, and I was playing travel and rec. and I was doing like small-sided tournaments, off-season training and stuff, all of that for soccer, and I wasn't really doing that for any other sports at the time.
What league did you play for?
I played for VSA.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, so
I know a lot
here.
of people in VSA, man.
Yep.
Some great individuals that's in that organization.
Tons,
yeah. And I was playing with them, and I started off with the rec, and my dad coached me. We won the championship every single year, and then I ended up switching to travel. And then I was starting there on their top travel team. And we were winning a ton there. And then once like middle school came around, people finally started catching me in height and stuff. So I wasn't like the biggest kid anymore, but I was still starting and playing. It was my favorite sport at the time. And I had intentions to try and play that in college. But then like as these other sports, like I started playing more often, like basketball, I started playing. Like my freshman year, I thought about like quitting the sport just because I got no minutes and I wasn't playing, and then I wasn't really having fun. I quit rec basketball to focus on soccer and focus on just high school sports in general. And then as sophomore year came around, I had a blast playing because I was like a sophomore on JV, so I was a lot bigger, scoring a lot.
And you was enjoying it, right?
Yeah, I was having so much fun.
That's the thing, like so. So you looking at it like so Gavin is, he played a lot of sports growing up, right? So and we always do this. Big shout outs to Coach Tyler. You're talking about soccer. Coach Tyler is one of the coaches over at Fauquier High School on the women's side. If you haven't noticed, I'm the head coach over at Brentsville District High School basketball, the head coach of the team. And Gavin was one of my players, I got a chance to coach him this year, but we're going to dive into that in a few, right? I just want to know, so when you got to the point where, you love switch, we want to know when you was playing soccer, before you got to lacrosse, playing basketball, what was that switch? How did you switch to know that say I need to give up this sport? Because it's tough.
Yeah,
like you talking to Coach Tyler.
Very hard.
If y'all go back and listen to Coach Tyler's podcast, he had to make that switch. So Coach Tyler, I don't know if you know, he played soccer is his sport. He loves soccer, right? But phenomenal like athlete, track runner, like he does it all, right? So he had to make that switch. So make that comparison, Coach T. Like, how was that switch for you before we asked Gav?
Like you said, I talked about it on my episode a little bit, but I did the exact same switch as you. I played soccer my whole life, my favorite sport, easily. Then freshman year of high school, I started running track. Yeah. And then I did really well in track, and I had this crossroads, like, should I go do track? Should I continue doing soccer? Because I was going to do ODP at the time. And then so I ended up choosing track, but like I was saying in my episode, like soccer was still my love. Yeah. So it was like I did track because I was really good at track, and I knew I could have a path forward in track, and I wasn't gonna let myself fail doing track. But like, what was your story? So obviously, you started playing a bunch of other sports, and you fell in love with other sports.
Yeah. So it was the change just kind of happened gradually over time. Like the travel team, I stopped kind of liking the coaches as much because my favorite coaches were switching clubs, going to higher levels and stuff, switching up, and some of the players were quitting to focus on their sports or just not coming to practices, and it just soccer just kind of kept losing the love. And then we had one season where we just lost every single game, and then after that all my other sports were on the rise. I started liking those coaches. I started having more fun playing them, and playing lacrosse when I was younger, I was on the best possible team I could be in the area. Like, we had so many kids that are playing, that graduated this year. They're playing in college now. So I wasn't getting that many minutes on that team because there were some kids on there that were.
What was the name of the organization, man?
I played for Brigade Lacrosse. And I was on the top team there. And we were doing it. We were winning the chip that year, or losing to Dulles South. It was one of us going every single year.
I got you.
And once I started getting better at lacrosse and started getting more minutes there, and my soccer team was on the decline, I was I feel like I might have a future in lacrosse, because I had one season where I started scoring a ton and I was just having so much fun playing. I'm I could see myself doing this for the next 4 years.
I got you.
And then after that soccer season, I was dreading going to practices, dreading going to games. And I was like, oh, do I really have to play today? I'm not in the mood. But then when I had lacrosse game, I'd sleep with my stick the night before. I was so fired up, getting ready for the game.
That's very interesting, man. You start to not only you fell in love with the game, right? You can like a sport, but when you fall in love with it, your mind changes.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Your whole focus points change, right?
Yeah.
When you fall in love with it, your drive is different.
Yeah,
and that's crazy because before we tap into like that lacrosse story, you know, I want to tap into your your other side, the basketball side of things, right? So, you know, you going into your freshman year and you said you didn't play a lot, correct? So knowing that you're not playing a lot, you know, it was your freshman year. It was during COVID, right? That was a COVID. Was that COVID year?
COVID year was started right after the season ended.
So now you finished that year, right?
Yeah.
So now you know that it was a challenge plan, right? So you know you didn't play, so you felt like I'm not going to play basketball anymore, right?
Yeah.
So what made you stay locked in to pursue to keep playing throughout, you know, high school?
I think the biggest thing was like my parents, because they kept telling me like you're a freshman and there were other like sophomores on the team, freshmen on the team, and they were better. They deserved to play. They were better. And I knew I would go back as a sophomore and have a chance to be on that JV team, but then I'd have a chance to like be one of the leaders on that team and be one of the better players when the other players went up, because we had a lot of seniors that year. So the varsity team would need to pull players from JV. And my parents just kept telling me like, just do one more year, see how you like it,
and go from there.
Yeah, and just
so big shout outs to Mr. and Mrs. Brown. I think y'all, you know, it's difficult to like motivate kids in this time, right?
Oh yeah.
And I think your parents, you know, got a lot of respect for me. I feel like they have a lot of respect for me as a not only as a coach, but as a person in general.
Yeah.
But big shout out to the parents. You know, I think y'all did a heck of a job by keeping him, you know, going forward, right? So now you get into, you know, your junior year, right?
Yeah.
So your junior year, you started on varsity, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, speak about that a little bit, how that journey before we get to your senior year.
So after sophomore year, it was a COVID year, so we were like playing with mask on. Not a lot of kids tried out, no fans in the stands, and I still went out there and we had a good season. We were like 3-5, like because we had like no games when we played in region teams and we have no playoffs as JV, and I'm just having a ton of fun playing now on the JV team. And then the coach on varsity at the time, Coach Chris, he started an AAU team, and then I played on that AAU team. I started off on the JV AAU team, and then halfway through I switched over to the varsity, but he had me practicing with both, and I was doing the off-season practicing too, so I had like 4 hours of practices at night.
So you was getting training in.
Yeah, so I started getting a lot better at the sport, and that's when, obviously, when you start getting better, you start doing better in games, and that's when I kind of started like having so much more fun, because I was getting better, getting in good shape, and playing a ton in these AAU games. And then the season came around on varsity, and I ended up starting as a junior when we had 7 seniors on the team.
It's big.
Yeah, and so I was starting on varsity, and the season didn't go like how we wanted. We went 1-19, but like I knew when my senior year came around, we had a good young core to like build off of, and we just were balling out. And then that AAU season really was the main factor that got me to love basketball.
So it's crazy because, you know, going into your senior year, you know, Coach Chris Lewis, you know, took the job over at, you know, OP, right? So which created an opportunity for me, right? So, hey, Chris, thank you. You know, Seth, thank you. Because without, you know, him having another opportunity somewhere else, that door didn't open for me. So I'm glad to have that opportunity, right? This is how we got to meet, right? Yes, so, you know, you got a new coach coming in.
Yeah, this
right?
is my fourth new
coach, right? That's what I'm saying.
I had a different coach.
So that's why I got there. So before we talk about your senior year of basketball, then we'll switch back over to your main sport. How did you how did you stay, you know, connected to the sport when you got to switch every year?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing was my teammates, because I'm very close playing multiple sports with a lot of players on the team. So I was kind of we would text all the time. We have group chats and stuff, so we're texting all the time, going to the park, going to gyms like Lifetime and stuff, and hooping there, Freedom, playing there. And we just, every time we got a new coach, we'd reach out to them right away, try and get as much like contact with them as we could before the season started, so we could build that chemistry with them, so we aren't going into our first game like, I don't know how this guy coaches, I don't know how he subs, I don't know what he wants, I don't know what he doesn't want. So we try to build the chemistry with our new coaches in the off season every single year. but we did it like as a team. Like we didn't just have the captains do it or the seniors do it. Like we try to get the entire team to buy in and like get adapted to this new scenario that we were put into. For me, it was all 4 years.
Yeah, that's a really unique. I think it's a really unique thing, especially at your age. Like,
I mean, all the sports I played, I've never had a situation
where
I had so many new coaches.
Yeah, so many
new
coaches. And, well, the ability for you and your teammates to adapt together to the new play, to the new. Because often, like you said, like usually it'll be like, okay, cool, like the team captain or like one or two of the seniors will be like, oh, okay, guys, like let's go, like do this, and this. But like sounds like you guys like all banded together, like nah, we're all gonna go do this together, and that's a really powerful thing to be able to do. And that's something you don't see very often, and especially in youth sports, like especially in high school, because it ends up being a little bit more cutthroat and all these other things. But that's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, we tried to not just get like players who were on the team last year, but we would like post on the social medias, talk to our friends, and then the first few open gyms coach had, I think we had like 22 kids show out on the first time with a brand new coach.
Yeah, that's tough.
And it just kind of kept building off of that, and then we had like, I don't even know, we had like 60 kids at tryouts or something. And that was the biggest turnout we've had in all 4 years. And that was kind of, I think, part to the fact that like the seniors and captains would talk to the younger kids and be like, yo, tell your friends, come out, get everyone you can to come out. And then we just kind of built like a big like family in the off season. Yeah. And then we just took that into the season and then had the best record out of all 4 years.
That's sick, man.
I mean, it started with you guys. Yeah, but we went to regionals, man. So like it was a a unique season, right? Yeah. You come from a 1-19 season, and
not even making
regionals, and then we come in and I told y'all the mentality is going to change, right? Yeah. And we had to change because you had to believe in each other, right? You can't win if you don't trust the person beside you. Yep. You can make shots and say, hey, I played well, but if your team loses, it's still a loss. Yeah. Right? So how can we get better at each game? Right? So I was winning when y'all opened up to me. You know what I mean? Like, hey, look, let me in, fellas. Hey, I'm not like any other coach. I'm here for you guys, right? And I think that's where that trust factor came in. It wasn't an easy season because I challenged. So what I did was, then we're going, going into that senior year, but I told Gavin this when I first talked to Gavin. I said, Gavin, I'm going to challenge you, but my job is to make you the best version of yourself for lacrosse. Yeah. He goes, Coach, I said, it ain't about being a basketball player, right? It's about being the best version of yourself at your sport. Yeah. And he was like, Coach, I can respect that. And I was like, yo, look, this is what I'm here for. So if I can challenge you now, it's going to help you go over into your senior year for lacrosse, right? Yeah. So, which I think it did. So we're going to tap into your whole journey because, and you and I talked about this before, over at Brentsville, your dad, Coach B Brown, is the coach. Yep. So let's speak on how challenging, having your dad, because did he coach you all your years? You see what I'm saying? So
he coached me all through my youth, and then he was the assistant coach my freshman, sophomore, and junior year, and then he was the head coach the senior year. But he was the offensive coordinator all 4 years, and I play offense. So it was basically like the head coach for my position.
Gotcha. So speak on it, right? So you going in and having your father with you every game, right? It's tough to have a parent be in the stands because of like just work and things like that. But your dad is at every game, and not just at every game. He's on the sideline at every game, So that's just respect, right? So knowing about that, like, what was some of the good, some of the bad, some of the challenges, speak on that, man.
So some of the goods would be like lacrosse didn't end in our household. If we had practice 2 to 4. Practice was from when we woke up till when we ended. Texting about the practice plan during the day, doing practice, going home, talking about practice, and then watching film for an upcoming game.
I got you.
And it doesn't end. On weekends, like, we're diehard Maryland fans.
Gotcha.
So we would watch Maryland and basically any college lacrosse, high school lacrosse that was on. There was always a lacrosse game playing in our house, whether it was ours, college, high school, professional.
That's tough.
Like, it was just always on. Right. And it'd be nice to have, like, my father as my coach, because I can go up to him like at the dinner and say, like, I really think we could work on this and this would help the team a lot. Whereas, like, if I just had a different coach, I can't really go up to him whenever I wanted and talk to him. Some of the bads are like, he's going to be harder on me than every other person out there. And like, if I step out of line, I'm running laps. If someone else like steps out of line, messes up, like they're just going to get like, come on, you got it. Next play. Yeah. And it was just, we butted heads a lot because I've played the game my whole life. So I think I have a very good understanding on it, but he'll always say he knows the game better than me because he's played it his whole life. He played in high school, rec, college, and he's coached me my whole life. So he's just been around the game longer, and I'm a very stubborn person. So if I think I have a right point of view, I will take that to the grave with me, and I will argue with him like no one's business.
But you argue with him because so T and I like that too, right? Yeah. You'll laugh like we are. You know, when we become a student of the game, so you became a student of the game, right? Yeah. So when you became that student, you like, hey, look, I see some things that's not right, right? I mean, we had our challenges, right? We had the same thing. Like, Gavin come in there, he was like, Coach, I'm like, go try it, and he was like, you're not gonna. Let me know how it works, right? If it doesn't work, we're gonna do it my way, you know. And he'd go, Coach, now I don't think that's gonna work. Show me your way, right? Then he goes, well, how can we meet in the middle? Yeah. So which now we get to the point like your dad had high expectations for you, right? That wasn't that he was putting you above everybody else. Yeah. He expected you to play at a level of knowing the game as well as you know it, as well as he know it, so everybody else can be able to come up together. Yeah. Right. So that's one of the biggest challenges of having a son or any type of child that played the sport. You know, I would have loved to have you know. My dad coached me or somebody coached me in a sport, man. I'd enjoy that, you know. So, which is good, all right. So now, you know, you like you said, you went into your senior year, and you challenge everybody out there, right? You know, you challenge yourself. Y'all was in there, you having fun because lacrosse at Brentsville is actually, you know, a really good program, right? I'm telling you, I think the athletes there did a great job. If any of you guys can play basketball, right? Don't hide your talent. You know, come out and try out. We trying to do the same thing that the other sports are doing there. The other male sports are doing there. We trying to do the same exact thing. Just give me a shot. Like
intermission for recruiting.
You get what I'm saying? You know, but I say that because you know now we get into your college, right? Yeah. So boom, you see the shirt that he has on, and you looking over here at another guy that played, you know. For you know, type of scholarship over here, Coach Tyler, right? So dive into this process, man. Like schools that was looking at you before you chose the recruiting process. Give us that, man.
So I started playing for this travel team called Hammers Lacrosse, which they're called Team Virginia now, and we'd always go to these showcase tournaments. There's tons of college coaches there, and they'll send out these like lists of schools that are going to be watching there. Okay. So if there's a school I'd be interested in, I'd shoot an email like a few days before and try and like tell them my locations and the game times so they can come watch me play. Yep. And then I had a few very good tournaments, and I had a few schools reach out to me. And then the biggest thing that helped my recruiting was I went to this thing called ODAC Day, which is this recruiting showcase that I went to. And there was every single ODAC school, which is the Old Dominion Athletic Conference, which is the division is Bridgewater is in, and they were all there. Head coaches, assistant coaches, volunteer coaches, like they had so many coaches there. And then after that, I got in touch with schools like Virginia Wesleyan, Shenandoah, Bridgewater, and I talked to the Lynchburg coach a little bit, and that was just kind of a big stepping stone for me. And then I went to their prospect days, and after I went to the Virginia Wesleyan Prospect Day, the coach offered me like on the spot at the camp.
That's tough, man.
Yeah. And then I texted with him a little bit more, and then I went down to Shenandoah for an official visit and met with their assistant coach because the head coach was on his honeymoon. So I met with the assistant coach, and then I went down and met with the Bridgewater coach for my official visit there. And when I stepped on that campus, I was just kind of like the school I fell in love with, like right away, because Brentsville is a small town school. Like we have under 1,000 students compared to every other high school around us. Yeah. And that's Bridgewater only has like 1,800 students. Yeah. So it's a very small school.
So it felt comfortable.
Yeah, like it felt like close to home because like it just touched like how high school felt, and I loved the small school vibe, and I got that there. And I toured other schools like Virginia Tech, JMU before I knew I wanted to play a sport in college, And those campuses were way too much for me, way too
big.
big.
It's a lot.
And I literally told my mom, I was like, we need to drop like 20,000 students off, and that's a school I'd be okay with.
I mean, you found somewhere where you can actually go thrive at, right? You know, education is something that we all preach, right? And like your parents, they preach the same thing. You know, without education, man, it's gonna be difficult, right? Sports is just another avenue, another outlet, right? You know, to push you and drive you to your career, right? You know, and I think that's what, you know, you wanted, right? You didn't want to go to, you know, a large school, but any school you go to, it's going to be them same type of challenges, right? But how can you stay focused, right? And I think that's the thing that is different about you, man, right? You know, you a natural leader, right? Seen it since I met you, right? Our first conversations, right? I'm like, yo, Gav, man. He's like, yo, coach, this is who I am. This is what I want. This is what I think we can do. I said, okay, let's find the pieces. Right? And I think that, and I always told you, and I've said over and over again, that I want more people like you that's willing to run through a wall. It doesn't matter the talent. It doesn't matter if you this superstar or anything like that. If you put your life and your body on the line for your brothers that you out there going to war with, that's what I want. And that's what you brought to the table. And that's where Coach Tyler tell you, like, he was that same type of person, right? He'll put his body through hell, right? Just to let his teammates, his teammates know that he was there. He wasn't going to slack off on a any type of workout, any type of exercise. He went at it 110%. You get what I'm saying? And that's cool, man. That's something that, you know, T and I, you know, preach about all the time, man. Like, yeah, man. So at the end of the day, man, like you going somewhere where you're going to end up, man, being the best version of yourself. And that's the thing, you know, and like I said, everything that you talked about, same thing with all of us. I think your journey is something that we don't want to go unnoticed.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So dive a little bit more into your recruiting, right? So like, what are the things too that, I love diving into recruiting stories because everybody's recruitment is different. But there's a lot of similarities, right? So like you said, right, one of the really important things, especially for a sport like yours, again, I coach high school girls soccer, so very similar things, those showcase tournaments. And that I'd never heard of that conference, that ODAC showcase. That's really, really sick. And a great thing to take advantage of. So, you know, people at home, like, think about those sorts of things. How many camps did you go? Did you go to a bunch of camps like that, or was that the only one you went to?
That was the only camp I went to where it was like a bunch of schools watching. But I mean, every school has their own prospect day. So like, I chose the schools that I felt like I had the best fit at, and I went specifically to their schools. And I wanted to stay in state. Like, my dad helped a lot with my recruiting process because he played in college, so he's already done all of this. So he reached out to some of the schools that, like, the school he went to and some of the schools he played, like Slippery Rock, Muskingum. I can't think of the name of the school he went to.
Hey, we can't edit it out neither.
Wheeling University. Wheeling University.
Okay.
So it's a D2 in West Virginia. And that's where he went. And those schools were interested in me, but I didn't really want to go six hours away, 7 hours away for college. So I was looking more in state. And for lacrosse, D3 is kind of better than D2. And there is 0 D2 lacrosse schools in Virginia. So I wanted to stay in state. And so I went to the ODAC day because that's the biggest conference in Virginia. Because almost all of their schools are in Virginia. And I was emailing, like, my mom helped me write so many of the emails, and we would reach out to, like, a lot of these schools through email before the tournaments I'd go to, like the showcases I went to. And then before I went to the ODAC day, before I went to the prospect days, after I went to the camps and prospect days and stuff like that. And then we would get in contact with the coaches and see, like, vibe out what, like, how I felt at their schools meeting the coaches. Because, like, sometimes when you meet a person, you're like, I don't really connect with that guy.
That's a huge thing,
and I had some coaches that I didn't really connect with that. So some of those schools were kind of off the table, like, before I even went for a visit, just because of the coaches and the vibe I got from them. So, and then, like, my top 3 was Virginia Wesleyan, Shenandoah, Bridgewater. So I went to official visits at all their schools, prospect days and everything. And I I landed on Bridgewater because that one just I had the best fit.
I got you.
Yeah.
So like hold on, I lost my train of thought. Yeah, so like that's another thing too, is like you kind of knew exactly what you wanted, which a lot of kids coming out of high school don't really know that, right? A lot of them see those giant schools, like you said, like Vizion and JMU, like, nah, bro, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And so, like, you knew you wanted that smaller, more intimate vibe. So, again, education-wise, did you know what you want to do for your major?
I'm gonna be a business management major.
Okay.
So that is Bridgewater College's best major.
Yeah, that's
is
huge.
Like 22.3% of their students
That's fantastic.
major in business.
Yeah.
And another thing the school has that's unique is like 62% of the people who go to the school are athletes.
That's good.
And that's that's so dope to have on
awesome.
campus, because every person you're
The
going to
vibe
meet is
different.
basically an
Yeah,
athlete.
athlete,
And athletes just connect better in my opinion.
Yeah.
So so many of the people I'm going to meet there are going to be athletes, and that's just I thought that
really
was
cool.
so dope.
You fit right in.
Yeah.
So we played against Bridgewater when I played football at George Mason.
Yeah.
So it was some good battles.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that you're gonna enjoy yourself. By being yourself, right?
Yeah.
And going to that school. Like you said a very unique thing earlier. You said D3 lacrosse is better than D2 lacrosse, right? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I mean, most people think that it's like you go up.
That's what I'm saying, man.
So, and you wanted to be close to home, which is something that's actually pretty cool as well.
Yeah.
So that you don't have to. Your parents have to drive for a home game 8 hours, or fly for a home game. They get to actually get in their car, and
hour and a half
drive right to Bridgewater, and then it makes you come home. If you want to get a nice home cooked meal,
come home, watch my sister play and stuff.
Watch her play, right? And so that's good. So you have a plan, right? You had this plan, man, and that's what's special about you, man. I don't think you understand that, man. You already had things mapped out, right?
Yeah.
And then Bridgewater stuck out to you. The other two schools, I know they kind of probably upset that they missing a special player, but you had a plan.
Yep.
Like my younger sister is going into her sophomore year, right? She plays basketball on the women's basketball team at Brentsville District High School on the varsity. She played on varsity as a freshman, so she had a great, I call it mentor to look up to. You know what I mean? A big brother that she can go, okay, these are the mistakes you made. I don't want to make those. Here's the things you did well. How can I do it better?
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's something that's very special as well, man. So, but yeah, man, like I said, everything that you spoke on, man, we enjoyed it, man. It's crazy. So, T, man, what else you got for Gavin, man?
Like I said, like one of the things like he said that I admire most about you, because I was around the basketball games a lot too. I was out there shooting them. But yeah, the leadership on the court, because I watch the basketball games, the leadership on the court is huge. And leadership is one of the big things that I like to preach as well. Like I see a lot of myself in you, which is really cool. But one of the things that I want everybody to take away from this is, especially when you're getting recruited, like he said, like you knew exactly what you wanted to do. Now, not to say that you need to know what you want to do, because a lot of people don't. Most people don't. This is unique. But it's really cool that you knew what you want to do, but you also put in the work to get recruited. Getting recruited these days is not as easy as it used to be. There's so many people doing so much. There's social media. There's Huddle. There's freaking every NCSA. Like there's everything. And so you went out, you over-communicated to the coaches, like, hey, coach, I'm going to be here this time, this field, watch me play, it's my number, all that other stuff. Then after the game, you're like, hey, coach, like, I saw you there, like, thanks, appreciate you coming out, like, those kinds of things. That goes a very long way in recruiting, and it's that little extra step that a lot of people are lazy, they're not trying to do that. They think that, oh, I'm good enough, they're going to look at me. They don't care about you. They don't even know who you are, right? And so that is a fantastic thing that I want everybody to take away from that, because that really helps your recruiting process. And then it doesn't hurt to, be actually a good dude. You know what I'm saying? Like when you go and meet coaches and stuff like that, like it doesn't hurt. You know what I'm saying?
Because like the way I said, like I got a vibe from the coaches. I'm sure they're getting the
same vibe right back.
The same vibe
Exactly.
It's a connection, man. That's what I'm saying. That's what's up, man. That's tough, man.
Appreciate it.
So like, what would you? We always do this with everybody that's on the show. Like, what would you tell somebody that's just trying to pursue their their career in whatever sport, right? Let's just say lacrosse, right? What is one of your talking points that can help them, continue to reach out to these coaches, continue to keep training to get what they want. So what would be your message to that next Gavin Brown?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing would be like get yourself into like as many sports as you can so you can find the sport that you love the most and play them for as long as possible before you find the one that you love. And once you find that one sport, put like everything you have into it. Like emailing does not cost money. Like you don't need to go to like NCSA and spend all this money. You can just send emails yourself. You can write letters, make phone calls, and then when you go to these tournaments and stuff, like just reach out, be like the best version of yourself, and just ball out at these tournaments and be respectful. And the coaches they'll if they like you as a person, like that's bigger than them liking you as a player.
Yes.
So it's about being respectful and then balling out.
Yeah, absolutely.
We love that, man.
Yeah.
Like personality.
Yeah.
Right.
Goes further.
Yeah.
Being a good player.
Being a good player, man. You ain't got to be the best.
Yeah,
yes.
They want a better teammate.
Yes.
And a better
That's
player.
what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I think I was preaching that. Was I preaching that? So I mean, because like I said, yeah, what I mean. I appreciate you, man. But no, honestly, that's what and I'm proud, man, that I've impacted something.
Yeah.
That was, in our short period of time, man. Wish I had longer. I told you this, at the end when we lost in the regionals, and I told you, I said, man, I wish I had more time with you guys. If I had more time with you guys, man, I think we could have done something, a little bit more special than what we actually did last year. And we're going to continue to push because that connection that I have with the alumni, coming back, I want them to understand that Coach Mike is not going anywhere, right? I want to build something here, and I want to continue to build it for a long time. And I was blessed to have the opportunity to coach you, man. I loved it. I'm blessed to have my brother beside you, Coach Tyler, man, that was able to come out to be able to capture some of the moments for us, which was a big thing for us. Our photo shoot, what I mean, to that until
helps so much exposure on the social media by getting the pictures, edits out.
Correct, and that's what it is, man. And we just want to thank you, man. Like, for coming on the show, man. And
thank you for having me.
Man, anytime. Like, this is just, we call this part one.
Yeah, this is the first
season. This is part one. We got a lot more to cover because, you're going into your, your freshman year of college. We want to know this journey, right?
Yeah.
We want to know that journey the whole time, the good, the bad, the ups, the downs. We want to know everything that takes place so you can come back and tell the next athlete that, hey, this is what I had to do, and this is what I'm going through, and this is what I'm going to do. You know what I mean? And like I said, man, with that being said, T, man, like as always, man, hey, take us out like you always take us out, man.
Yeah, man. Gavin, appreciate you, brother. Good luck next year.
Thank you.
It's gonna be exciting. Freshman year is a whirlwind. Right? You think you're prepared for it? You're not. No, you'll be fine. But yeah, just want to thank everybody for watching and staying tuned. Again, remember every Monday, 8 a.m. New episode's gonna be dropping, so make sure you are locked in. But without further ado, I'll catch you on the next one.
Hey, another episode down. Plenty more to go. Until the next time, holla at you later.